The man, dressed in an impeccably tailored suit, hurried through the crowded city street. A jarring voice pierced through the urban chaos, a homeless man reeking of urine and despair, begging for spare change. As the man brushed past, the homeless man spat a curse, his words laced with venom.
"Look at Mr. Moneybags, too good for the likes of us!"
The man paused, his eyes flickering with a fleeting emotion that quickly vanished. He continued walking, seemingly unfazed by the encounter, but the seed of something dark had been planted. The man found himself drawn back to the street corner where the encounter had occurred. He couldn't explain the compulsion, the morbid curiosity that gnawed at him. Each day he would observe the homeless man from a distance, studying his movements, his routines. The homeless man, oblivious to the scrutiny, continued his pathetic existence, begging for scraps, seeking solace in cheap liquor. The man, however, saw something else in the homeless man's vulnerability, an opportunity to exert control, to unleash the darkness that simmered within him. The plan formed in the man's mind with chilling clarity. He waited until nightfall, the city streets slick with rain, providing a cloak of anonymity. The homeless man, drunk and disoriented, was easy prey. A swift blow to the head and he crumpled to the ground, unconscious. The man dragged the limp body into the back of his van, the stench of urine and alcohol filling the air. He drove through the desolate streets, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. The homeless man awoke in a state of utter confusion. His head throbbed with pain and his vision swam as he tried to focus. He was naked, his body bound tightly to a chair with rough rope. He was in a sterile, brightly lit kitchen, the air thick with the mouth-watering aroma of roasting meat. Panic surged through him as he struggled against his restraints. "Where am I? Who are you?" he rasped, his voice hoarse with fear. The man, dressed casually in a white t-shirt and jeans, turned from the oven, a carving knife glinting in his hand. He smiled, a chillingly normal expression that did little to ease the homeless man's terror. "What's that smell?" the homeless man choked out, his stomach growling involuntarily, betraying his fear with a primal need for sustenance. "It smells delicious," the man chuckled softly. "It does, doesn't it? I take pride in my cooking." The man approached the table, placing a plate down with a gentle clink. On it lay a perfectly roasted, glistening piece of meat. The homeless man stared at it, his mind struggling to comprehend the scene unfolding before him. "What is this?" he whispered, his voice trembling. The man leaned in close, his breath hot on the homeless man's ear. "This," he whispered, his voice laced with a chilling calmness, "is your leg." The homeless man's eyes widened in horror, the reality of his situation crashing down upon him. He thrashed against his bonds, a primal scream rising in his throat. But the man just watched, his eyes gleaming with a perverse satisfaction. "You see," the man continued, his voice conversational, "when you insulted me, you made a grave mistake. You reminded me of the ugliness in the world, the ugliness I carry within myself, and for that I had to show you just how ugly things can get." He picked up a fork and knife, the metal clinking against the plate, each sound amplified in the terrified silence. He carefully cut a slice of the roasted meat, the aroma filling the room, a grotesque parody of a family dinner. The homeless man, his face slick with tears and sweat, could only watch in mute horror, the weight of his impending doom crushing him. The man lifted the fork to his lips and took a bite, savoring the moment, the terror that emanated from his captive. "You wanted my scraps?" The man spoke, his mouth full. He chewed slowly, deliberately, maintaining eye contact with his victim. Each swallow was a declaration of power, a descent into the abyss of his own depravity. The homeless man, his spirit broken, could only sob, the smell of his own flesh cooking filling his nostrils, a constant reminder of the gruesome reality of his situation. This was no longer about revenge, but a macabre performance, a descent into the darkest recesses of human cruelty.